Good afternoon and welcome to Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh, and this is our 69th episode that we've been on the air.
69.
Seems like only yesterday it was our first one.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Seemed like only yesterday it was like, well, we're here.
It was rocky at first, but I feel like at least we get better each time.
That is true. That is true. It gets a little more comfortable and a little less frantic.
We know
what we're talking about, so that was half the battle, but it's like
what they
sharing it to everybody at one time.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
Well, we've got a very great show today, and we kind of want to start off by talking about this week. Jeff and I were sat down and heard discussion by the president of the Oak Lawn Committee, and it was a very interesting discussion where they talk a lot about what's happening inside that area. And that area, you want to tell everybody what that area kind of is defined by?
Yeah, Oak Lawn itself was one of the first PDs that was put in place, and it is defined on the north side by Inwood Road, goes all the way down to I think all the way down to Woodall Rogers, all the way over to Central Expressway on the eastern side, and over to
Harry Hines? Or is it 635?
It's actually 35 on that side. So it's a really large planned development or public development area that the city has a lot of control over. It's in the flight path of Love Field. It's got all of Uptown. It's got all of Victory Park. It has all, that whole Knox Park area.
Yeah.
So really a good-sized section of the city that's under careful watch.
Yep, and it was a really good discussion on this. We learned that Turtle Creek seems to have a lot of things that are going to be coming up. We were really excited to hear that the Mandarin Oriental Hotel is scheduled to be there. That there's also talk of the Waldorf Astoria picking up, because I think that the Four Seasons kind of blocks that out. There was another hotel that kind of locked out, so they were really trying to go towards this. And it seems like that because of the anchor of the convention center, a lot more of these hotels have really shown interest.
Yeah, that was the a lot of the reason that the Convention Visitors Bureau said we weren't picking up bigger hotels conventions, was we didn't have enough hotel rooms. Right. And it's interesting. It's a kind of an interesting mix to me. I feel like we're kind of getting toward the end of that, that super positive real estate cycle, and we're still seeing all of these big projects that are being announced, and people are buying land like crazy.
Yes.
I mean, that part of the market is very real and very happening. But if you've been in Dallas long enough, you realize we go through the ups and downs like everybody else does. And so I'm sure that half of the 26 tower projects that we heard about will probably never see the light of day,
or not in this cycle.
Yeah,
for sure.
maybe not in this cycle.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's going to be a big change in Oak Lawn in the next 10 years.
A lot. And if you are watch the corner of Cedar Springs and Lemon. That's going to be a lot of discussions coming up on that one right now. And that kind of segues into, as you and I were driving around three very distinct neighborhoods across Dallas as we toured the homes that we're going to talk about today, we really noticed that there was a lot of construction coming in.
Yeah, there's a lot of infill construction going on where there's a lot of spec construction going on. There's a lot of custom construction going on. There's a lot of infill happening in neighborhoods where they're really moving the price point from one price point to another, and it's almost always up.
Yeah.
The housing in some neighborhoods that we see where they've got, fairly decent sized lots, maybe 0.2 of an acre. The little cottage house that was on it before has really kind of peaked out in value.
Right. And now it's land.
And now the land value is caught up with that, and builders are starting to, they're continuing to tear down in those neighborhoods, and they'll build, kind of that formula is 2.5 times what the lot value was. That's what you need to be able to sell the end product for. So if you've got a $400,000 lot, you've got to build something that's going to sell like $1.1 million or $1.2 million to be able to have the economies work.
Yep, and I think that we've seen quite a bit of that, even on tour. This kind of segues and says, on tour we saw quite a bit of homes that were actually already spec'd, which is really interesting that they've got their spec homes ready right now on the market.
Yeah.
So it'll be a very interesting spring. We're excited to bring you the next round. But until then, we're going to go ahead and jump into the first home that we have.
Yeah, the first one we went to is a great neighborhood. This is in it's kind of the Preston Hollow-esque. It just kind of begins that expanded Preston Hollow neighborhood, and it's right off the corner of Walnut Hill and Midway. It is on the eastern side of Midway Road, which really jumps off into the bigger lots.
Yeah.
From a location perspective, this is really fantastic because you've got great access to the tollway, you have great access to Interstate 35. Northwest Highway is just a few blocks south of you. If you're somebody that needs to commute, you can get down to Love Field very, very easily and be in and out.
And one of the things that's, I think, very interesting about this neighborhood is this neighborhood does not have curbs. And you may be driving down it and not realize what's different about it, but there's no curbs, and there's kind of like,
And
if
there's
you're
no
country,
sidewalks?
there's no sidewalks, but if you're country, you call it a bar ditch.
Yeah.
But we're not going to call it a bar ditch on a $500,000 lot. It's just a low spot that separates the street from the beginning of the yard.
It's a rich bar ditch.
It's a rich bar ditch. There it is. Well, we're going to jump into this.
I'm glad I didn't mix any of those words up.
This is true. So this is a 5-bedroom, 5.5 bath. It's 51 square feet, and it is comes in at a lot of 0.459, and it is an amazing home. These homes that we're going to show you today are going to be contemporaries or not contemporary homes, a lot more of a traditional look, because we found so many people really want to focus on these really nice, clean homes like this.
Yeah, great slate entry on this, which is something that is really very timeless. And then you come in and they've got the sanded, stained, real hardwood floors that go pretty much throughout the entire home. Opens up to that very traditional living room with the fireplace and the built-ins there. They did a really good job where they carried that blue to the backside of of those built-ins and really kind of gave it a nice pop.
And they've also done 10-foot ceilings throughout, and you can see how the design and the way they've infused the art, they've done a really great job of making this a very unique place. The transition is very seamless. Again, you can see that the windows are larger than what we typically find, and that just has done a great job of warming this home up.
Yeah, and this is that butler's pantry that kind of passes from the dining room into the kitchen area, and this has that very popular traditional style that is so many people are looking for now. And one of the things that you pointed out as we were going through this house is that there's probably 4.5 foot space between the island and the countertops in this. And that's a really great space to have.
And this is, again, as we swing around from the little kitchen nook area, this comes into the family room. And the family room is set up so that it does have a nice flanking. They've done a great job with both the rug and also the way the size and scale of their furnishings. On the first floor, you also get the master, and the great thing about this master is that it is oversized. It can take all the furniture that you have. Again, it opens up to the pool, and I just was taken by how tranquil when we walked through here. It would be just to wake up and look out onto the pool.
Yeah, and the bathroom's done beautifully in this home. The marble the granite countertops, lots of travertine, polished travertine used in this bathroom. With primarily white accents throughout. Master bedroom flows into an office area here that could have been used for a bedroom. Then this flows to the front bedroom, and which is set up for with a couple of kids' beds in there. And then you also have a playroom on that level.
Yep.
So you have
3 bedrooms.
You really have no need to go upstairs unless you want to.
Right. And then this is the first. So this is a show of first. That is a trampoline in the second living room. And we love this because this configuration lends itself to being into a second master, which was just there. It had really large rooms, so it could be perfect for a multi-generational home, and all bathrooms were en suite.
Yeah, an outdoor space in this is really nice with the patterned brick. Great, more contemporary style pool with hot tub, big outdoor play area for the kids, lots and lots of grass being on the lot that's just under a half an acre. This is 4223 Williamsburg Road, 5 bedroom, 5 full baths, 1 half bath, priced at $1,499,000, which brings it in about $260 a square foot.
And we want to say thank you so much to Jamie for allowing us to highlight this home. It is amazing and very, very valuable. I mean, not valuable, it is, but it is a value property.
Yeah, really super well done.
Yep. So what we're going to do now is move into, if you saw our teaser, we shot this teaser after previewing this, and this is at the Little Forest Hills, and it is a great neighborhood. This is going to be 8218 San Cristobal Drive, and this is, again, a great area because if you are an outdoor enthusiast, in the least, this is a mecca for you.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that getting on this side of White Rock can be a challenge sometimes, but being this far down, you have such great access to I-30, and then cutting over through the neighborhoods via Gaston and Live Oak, you can be downtown in about 15 or 20 minutes from this space.
You're absolutely right, and if you want to head north, you've got Buckner and just zip up and catch Mockingbird, or keep going all the way to Northwest Highway. So there are ways to get in and around this area, but it is definitely a very sought after area, and we've seen more and more restaurants coming in and backfilling into this area and making it that much more of a destination.
Very much so. One of the original Highland Park cafes is probably within a couple of miles of this, and
that always baffles me that it's on that side of the lake and it's called Highland Park Cafeteria.
it is a different world when you walk in there.
It is. So this house has been recently renovated and has been really done in the taste of what a lot of Dallas buyers want. And it's a really critical thing because I think that a lot of times people who do flips may not take into consideration what Dallas buyers want, but this has just about everything that you're going to want.
Great entry, great big rise over run stairwell there. The room sizes are really nicely done. They've got a really nice flooring that they've used throughout the first floor. These pictures make it look a little more honey than it really is because it's got this really beautiful, rich brown, kind of darker brown, rich color to it.
And one of the things that they've come back in is throughout the house, whether it's the windows or the pools or the faucet fixtures, they've come back in with that matte black, which is extremely popular. The subway tiles work out perfectly. And then again, we've got the open convection or the open stovetop that flows and allows you to view into the second family room.
And this is another really good sized room with lots of flexibility. As you can see, there's the bar stool seating right there with the eat-in kitchen. All of the windows have been replaced with Anderson windows in this property.
They're really great. And then one of the other things that I liked about this is that we do have master downstairs. So master is downstairs off of the front with a bayed window, and they've taken and thought about this. You need to have those 4 can lights in a master. This transitions into a really great master bathroom that has a dual vanity. And then what we're going to look at is the first bedroom downstairs.
This is is this downstairs or upstairs? And this is an office that is downstairs.
There you go.
Right off the back porch. And then we get to see 2 of the upstairs bedrooms. They are almost identical and have a really nice bath that is available to both of those rooms. And then I think this next shot's going to be the other bedroom upstairs.
Correct.
That is really a great size, great closet bedroom. And really fantastic outdoor space with this one.
The outdoor space has a fresh deck, and one of the great things that we liked about this lot also was that it was 140 deep, which really allows you to take advantage of this. Again, if you haven't been in Little Forest, it has some amazing mature trees. This one actually backs up and has a really great view. This is 8218 San Cristobal, which is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,900 square feet, built in 1965, but just recently renovated. Priced at $688, which is $237 a foot. And we want to thank you so much to Melissa O'Brien for letting us feature this wonderful home.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa.
Where are we headed next?
Our last one today is at 5345 Goodwin Avenue. And this was just a real treat to see this house because the way this has been done with so much care. They have retained the charm of the neighborhood itself. And, when you get into this Greenland Hills / Victory Place neighborhood, that's one of the things that I think many builders have done is they've really tried to stay within what that 1920s, 1930s construction looks like there.
And the other thing too, one of the great things about this is one of the not for density, but because of the homeowners themselves, is such a walkable neighborhood. Like whether they're jogging in the evenings, walking the dogs throughout the day, it is a get out and get to know your neighbor kind of a neighborhood.
Yeah, and one of the first pictures we're going to get to see here is really indicative of exactly what you were saying.
Exactly.
You have such great walk up on this house. 2-story, you've got the second floor balcony that looks out over the front yard. But then as you get a little closer to the front door, this is definitely a front porch neighborhood.
It is. And even you didn't see it in the first picture, it was clear, but the upstairs balcony is amazing. When you walk in, one of the first things you're greeted by is a very wonderful wood infused office. And then it opens directly over to this dining room. And the dining room is amazing because of the size that it is. It allows you to be intimate or to actually really expand for those large, high holidays that could show up.
Yeah. And this is another one that's got a really great butler's pantry that kind of transitions between the two rooms. This is a little bit closer look of that office that Weston was talking about. And it's a really big room with the beambox ceilings. It just has a really warm feeling to it.
So around the corner from the dining room, you walk into this large family room. And the family room actually has windows on both sides of it. And on either side, it just really floods this home with a lot of natural light. And light is one of those things that people either can't figure out why they don't like it, but they know why they love it. And this is a light, bright, soulful home.
Yeah, and the marble countertops in this are fantastic. The white subway tile back with the white painted cabinetry really works well. The working island with the vegetable washing sink there is really super handy. And this is another one that had that really great distance between the island and the cabinets. This is the second eating area, and then from there we go upstairs, and you've got I think it's 3 bedrooms plus the media room up there. This is the media room that is really cool. They've got the media equipment already mounted up there, the pull down screen. They've got blackout curtains everywhere. You have a little small. I'm going to use an old term called internet cafe there.
There you go. And this is the first bedroom upstairs, and they've situated it perfectly. This is your second one as well, and you can see that it is an ensuite with the bathroom there, which, again, in today's buyers is almost a necessity. And a master that is extremely large, sits at the back of the house, and those are windows that overlook the backyard. The way that it's positioned, you can see that it has very specific focal points. So the fireplace here becomes one of your go-tos. And then it does transition into a really large bathroom that does have a step up, which is a really unique feature in this bathroom.
Double vanities, walk-in shower, separate kind of timely tub for the decor of the home. And you also have this big walkout balcony on that second floor right off of the master that would be a great place to go hang out and have coffee in the morning.
Yep, and it was a surprise because there are so many balconies here, one off the master, and then this is the front one that we talked about that is kind of protected and made private by the trees. And then here, one of the great things is you have this indoor courtyard area that works so well right off the living room and helps create that additional area for the windows that allow the light in.
But if you have pets and you need the big running area, you've got lots of it. So
how about a future pool?
Yeah, this house has just so much to offer. 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2-car garage built in 2006. This is priced at $949, which brings it in at $236.19 a square foot. And we'd like to say thank you to Matthew Edwards for letting us talk about his home today.
One of the ways that we try to help everybody find out more information about all these homes that we've talked about is inside of the comments. A quick click in the comments that Ceci has put in there for us will take you directly to them, and you can actually tour the map, and you can also check out the images and share them up front.
Yeah, and if you have any interest in going out and looking at these, certainly give us a call. We'll make an appointment to go meet you and show you.
Sounds great.
Okay, we'll be right back. There are lots of ways to keep up with us. Visit and like our Facebook page to watch us live and get updates about future show topics. Also, visit our Instagram account where you can see the latest homes we have for sale. You can also check out our website at updikepugh.com where you can create customized searches of active and sold homes that you may find of interest. If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, visit homeprice.fyi and you can get a price instantly. Just enter your address and a couple of other pieces of information, and we will email you a price. If you are on the go and podcasts are better for you, our second segments are available on iTunes and Spotify. Last of all, you can reach out to us by phone or text at 214-377-2223.
We are back, and one of the exciting things that we have planned for the second segment is a show of firsts, and we are so excited because we have, for the first time ever, an author, a horticulturalist, a researcher, all wrapped up into one, and we're so excited. This is Leslie Halleck that we have on the show.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for having me on today.
We are so excited. We were actually referred to Leslie by Mike Bosco, who has been on the show multiple times, and he said you would be great. And he pointed us in the direction, and we were able to coordinate with Jill, and she was able to make this happen
Jill's
wonderfully.
awesome. Jill's my account manager. She's fantastic. She's also a horticulturist.
Okay.
So we have a good little team duo of horticulturists here in Dallas.
Well, it was an easy. I was like, all right, here we go. We're about to run this. And one of the things that I was really excited about is, as reading through your blog spot, you're not just a plant enthusiast. No, you actually have done research at the Arboretum. I believe a lot of your education is started in art, you said, but then transitioned into the horticulture.
Yeah. So I started out an art major, which many of us do, was going to be an artist my whole life. But the great thing is that horticulture and art tend to go very hand in hand.
Okay.
So there's obviously we deal in a lot of beauty and aesthetics in horticulture and growing plants, so they merge really well. So I switched over to botany after a couple of years and started working at an independent garden center. So it's been about 27 years in the industry, and I have a degree in botany, a master's degree in horticulture from Michigan State, and I have worked in plant research, botanical gardens, landscape design, build, garden center, retail, you name it. I've kind of run the gamut. So I have a foundation in plant science research and horticulture, and then have spent a career working in the industry.
And you also worked at North Haven Gardens for a long time.
Yeah, I was the general manager there for 8 years, and not there now, but a good friend of mine is the general manager now. So it was obviously quite a shock to see it get completely devastated in the tornadoes, but this is Dallas. We have some extreme weather here to deal with, and that was an example of that.
That it is. And speaking of extreme weathers, we met up today and talked about how wonderful we've had some great days, and today it seems like it's so rainy. And you said, well, now is the season to really start thinking about your spring,
Yeah.
And I was like, is it really time to start thinking about my spring garden?
It is, actually, and I said we had a couple of really glorious gardening days the last few days, but, it's a little rainy and cold. It's January. It's allowed to be, but it's a great time for indoor gardening, right? So indoor gardening time, January. If you want to grow tomatoes, if you want to get your edible garden going, now is the time you're actually going to start tomato transplants indoors. So if you want to start your own seeds, we have a short spring in Texas. It gets hot early. I know tomatoes are a tropical plant, and that confuses everybody, but they don't actually like the heat. So you got to get them going early. So January is like seed catalog time and indoor seed starting time. And you can also direct seed cool season crops again right now. Lettuce, spinach, greens.
Really?
Yeah, so we have a 12-month growing season here. You grow cool season crops in the winter, warm season crops in the summer. So there's a lot of action that you can take indoor and outdoor in your garden right now.
So here's my dad used to always want to just put the little green onions in.
Yeah, January.
But he would never go in January,
Right.
and he would always cuss that they had run out.
He missed the window.
He'd always thought it was their fault for not stocking enough.
Well, it's a short planting window. So we have a 12-month growing season, but we have extreme climates.
Okay.
And so the temperature swings are extreme. And so that gives us very small planting windows for certain things. January to early February is onion slips, right? So the little green onions that you buy, you got to plant those in January. February, asparagus, rhubarb, that kind of stuff. Potatoes, they go in the ground. But you have a really short window to get them planted because it gets hot so quickly and they won't produce.
So when my grandparents had a working garden, they would always, and you're saying this and it's coming back to me, because they all had tin cans that were on the side of the garden. And in the evenings, if they knew it was going to freeze, they would run and tin can the entire thing.
Right. So you keep frost cloth on hand. Frost cloth in Dallas. So I plant my tomatoes out like the third week of February because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing, right? I know what I'm doing.
Right.
But the earlier you can get them in the ground, the better, so that you can avoid heat delay. When it gets too hot, they're not going to set fruit. So you plant them out a little on the early side and you cover them if we're going to get a hard frost. That's a trick that you can use to bump up your harvest in the spring.
So okay, so hard frost, what does that mean?
Below freezing, 32 degrees and below. But we can get down to 10 degrees here. And so generally when we're in that 32, 33 range, a lot of stuff is fine, uncovered. But once you start getting down into, say, 27, 26 degrees, and you start heading towards the mid-20s, that's when you're going to start to see some damage. Not on your winter crops. Spinach, lettuce, greens, that kind of stuff, perfectly fine. But if you are getting to the late winter, early spring, and you're going to put out tender tropicals like peppers and tomatoes, they're the ones that are going to get damaged by a hard frost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. One of the other things too that I was reading that you did is you are also a consultant and a keynote speaker quite often.
Yes.
And you really help people, can I say undo what they might have done?
Sure. So my business is sort of three-pronged, right? I work with green industry companies.
All right.
And so I help them communicate with customers and do marketing and do horticultural consulting and all those sorts of things. I write books for the consumer to teach them how to garden. And then I also do horticulture consulting for, say, commercial properties or residences or greenhouse growers that really need an expert to come in and say, hey, what's going right here, what's going wrong, and how do I fix it? Often on residential properties, I call myself the fixer. And so often I'm the one that delivers that bad news that you don't want to hear about why your landscape doesn't look great. You spent all this money, you're spending all this money on maintenance, but it doesn't look the way you want it to. That's because you need a plant engineer on the job. We were talking about that.
I love that word. I love that word.
Right. So as a horticulturist, I'm the person who really understands how plants work. You know, where they're going to grow, where they're not going to grow, how to maintain them, what the right plant is, all the pest and disease issues. So I usually come in as the fixer to realign the maintenance practices and tweak that landscape so that we have the right plants in the right place with the right maintenance practices so that, you know, you don't just have a landscape that's limping along. You have a landscape that's thriving and looks beautiful without, you know, spending money you shouldn't or putting inputs into that landscape that you don't need to.
And, you know, it was interesting because Jeff and I actually had a house that was on Better Drive, and it was a new construction with a noted architect. But they had to have hired a horticulturist because the concept of the front yard and the backyard was that it was native, drought resistant, and that it had the ability to bloom all year long. And I have to tell you that house went under contract as fast as we've seen them.
Yeah.
And it also got one of the top dollars price per square foot in the neighborhood. And everybody wanted to know what it was. And I really don't think that it was just one thing. I mean, yes, the house looked amazing, but I think that the house in and of itself was a complete package from curb to rafter. Everything made sense.
Your landscape adds an immense amount of value, perception and literally and figuratively adds value to your property. And it's really obvious when you've made the right plant choices and you're taking care to maintain plants correctly. You have to know plants, what works here, what doesn't, and how to grow and maintain them with the least amount of maintenance and inputs that you want to invest, right? And that's the trick. So you really have to know plants and horticulture and long-term maintenance to understand how to make that happen and not just look good once you've installed it. You want it to look good 5, 6, 7 years later, and it's an ongoing investment of time. Gardens and landscapes are not static. They're not a set it and forget it. So even though you've planted it, you're going to have to do ongoing care.
That is an interesting way to put it because I think that so many people think that just because they have a landscape company that comes out and mows and edge and blows, that they are done, that they've done their work. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg.
So I don't want to offend anybody here, but I have a term, a lot of the mow and blow that's just really basic cleaning. I call that outdoor janitorial services because technically that's what it is. You're just keeping things clean.
Yeah.
You're just keeping it clean. You don't necessarily address the cultivation and care needs of the actual plants in the landscape. be. So you do have to go one step further and really understand the soil, understand the plant needs, understand how to feed both the soil and the plants. So it does go beyond just mowing and blowing. So if that's what you're doing and you don't like the look of your landscape, we need to take one step further and really look at the care of the plants in your landscape.
And I think it was so critical as you and I were talking before, and you were talking about not an enthusiast, but an actual licensed professional. Research, horticulture, degrees. These are things that really lend themselves. And, I'm guilty of killing many of maybe a yard. But I think that it's important for us to stop and, have a kind of new theory, cry once, don't cry a bunch of times, and spend the money up front and really enjoy what you spent your money on.
Right. So cultivating a lush landscape, it depends on your goals, obviously. Different people have different aesthetics, and you have different goals for your landscape, but it's important to define that at the get-go so that you're spending your money wisely. And not only that, but understand the ongoing care that is going to truly be required for a landscape, because it really is painful when you have to essentially spend it all over again because it really wasn't done right the first time. For sure.
Well, this has been a great conversation that we've had, and I have one more conversation for you. Everybody knows that I love to buy orchids, and I cannot for the life of me figure out once everything falls, like, what do I do with that thing? I want to make it. Can I make it come back to life?
So number one, you're allowed to throw it in the compost if you want. You're I know. You're allowed. I'm absolving you of green guilt, right? You can buy a new plant and start over again, right? If you want to rebloom your orchids and you want to propagate, certainly.
What's that?
Plant parenting, right? So you can check out my books, Gardening Under Lights and Plant Parenting, if you want to figure out how to do that yourself. So Weston, you can get my books and you can do that. But I'm also telling you, you have permission to throw it away and start over. As a professional horticulturist, I've killed far more plants than you ever will in your entire lifetime, right? That's my job.
That's amazing.
My job.
I will tell
you.
Is it okay? You've absolved me of my green guilt?
It's okay.
I love that. Well, I have to tell you one last confession. I will actually take and buy a fake orchid and stick it in the plant just because I feel so bad about that plant can't make it.
You know what? That's okay. You're allowed to do that too, whatever makes you happy, but you're also allowed to go buy a new one.
I feel so much better. If nothing else,
Go buy
heard
a new
it here
plant.
first. Absolved of green guilt.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Leslie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been wonderful. You've been a great information. Inside of the comments, you'll be able to see information about her website, blog, how to order her books, and if you need her to come out there and help you, she is more than happy to. She has the service all set up. It has been wonderful, and that was a great segment.
That really was. I really enjoyed meeting her, and she had such great information.
It was wonderful. And there are books here that we will have links, and you can go take a look and get these.
Absolutely. So, anything else?
I think that's a wrap.
I think it is. Thank you for joining us today.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.